decisions about the technical direction of the company through the democratic process of voting. It is a hybrid between a proof of work and proof of stake protocol. No group or entity can alter the transaction process or make changes about the direction of the currency without the input of others. It is completely independent, self-funded, and uses community-based governance. Soverain is a multi-currency wallet which includes a Discord bot, peer-to-peer transactions, an advertising platform, master code monitoring service, and a decentralized exchange. The decentralized exchange is an alternative to, let's say, Coinbase or KuCoin or Binance. The Discord bot allows wallets to be stored on secure VPS servers. The advantages to a multi-currency wallet is that there is no user verification. When we talk about decentralized assets, what makes them different from fiat currency or the US dollar or yuan or pound is that you interact with central banks and they usually need proof of address, a pay stub for your job, or if you're getting a loan or doing financial transactions like that. In traditional institutions, you would need to verify your identification. With Rain, there's no user verification, so it gives privacy back to the user. For peer-to-peer transactions that are not linked to Bitcoin. So if you want to send VeChain or whatever, you can do it in that coin and not have to trade it to Bitcoin, send it to their Bitcoin wallet, and then they trade it back to VeChain. So it's a much simpler process. Pledgecamp. Pledgecamp takes the structure of a hedge fund or a venture capital firm and scales it down so it's accessible to a class that previously wasn't included in investing. The Knowledge Center is where data is stored for businesses. It also has backers insurance, where if you're on Kickstarter or GoFundMe, they really have no oversight of how funds are spent, where the money's going to. There's a lot of kind of like murky details that are just overlooked, and that kind of like seepage is really inefficient. So they want investors to be involved, and they want investors to be able to see where their money is going. And going back to smart contracts again, that's another way that they're doing that. Each milestone that a company meets, more funds will be given to them. So they don't receive all the money at once, and it's not kind of like a laissez-faire, hands-off type of thing. They really are sticking with the backers and the creators through this whole process. So you do have backers insurance, which is a security feature that secures campaign funds until a milestone is met. So to ensure that backers insurance works, the delivery of a product is in exchange for contributing funds. So like I mentioned earlier, you aren't really just handing your money off to a company and never seeing it again. You are investing at a different stage of the company, and then through smart contracts, that money is released. At the moment, they're not offering funding for tokens, so if you want to start another coin, you can't do it off of Pledgecamp, but that they said that's a feature that they may be thinking about in the future. So a great part of this token is that it's really including a larger market of investors, venture capital firms, and hedge funds. They take millions of dollars and invest millions of dollars, but for people who don't have that kind of money, especially people who have been kind of like blocked out of investing and financial institutions, it's really trying to be a more inclusive environment, and that means women, people of color, the LGBTQ community, and even immigrants. VC investment only travels 70 miles, and only 2% venture capital funds only travel 70 miles. and only 2% of funding goes towards women. Really making sure that they're reaching creators or these business starters who are women, who are LGBTQ, who are people of color, who don't have access to the same opportunities as others. But decentralization in this way really reduces those barriers to opportunity. Chances are you live 70 miles or greater away from a venture capital firm, and should that be the determining factor if they choose to invest in you or not? No, I don't think so. And at the same time, a lot of people of color, a lot of women, a lot of underrepresented communities don't have access to money as they would if they were born with privilege. So in the crypto community, a lot of people talk about HODL, or when does it moon, or kind of wanting, in a sense, to make it rich quick, right? It's kind of a little bit like the stock market, because when you heard about Bitcoin, people really wanted to jump on cryptocurrency as this new kind of craze thing. And a lot of pushback to crypto is that people don't understand it, or they prefer centralized currency, or they don't see the utility in it. And the way that I think about it is kind of like every day you buy a cup of coffee, or you may go to the movies. Once you spend that $6.50, it's gone. You don't get it back. But if you were to cut down on the amount of coffee you buy out, or the movies you go see, and instead of just spending that money and never seeing it again, if you were to invest a small amount, only what you're capable of losing, into a project or a company, and do that on a small scale, that I think is a great environment, and what Pledgecamp is really going after. So not taking large amounts of money, but incrementally. Some people do have disposable income, and instead of spending the money, investing it in a company. Paying funds until creators meet milestones. And until they meet those milestones, it's kept in escrow in a smart contract. So I think that's a really interesting way to use smart contracts. I mean, we were talking about before, if you're mowing a lawn, or cleaning a gutter, or doing plumbing or something like that, and you want to do it outside of fiat currency, smart contracts could be a good way to do that. But with Pledgecamp, we see they're using smart contracts in the funding arena, as entrepreneurs or creators are meeting milestones to ensure that they're following the right projectile, and they're keeping up with their promises and meeting all of their investors' expectations. So the competition that Pledgecamp has right now, mainly Kickstarter and GoFundMe, but Kickstarter and GoFundMe aren't liable for losses. They don't really interject when there's complications or issues, and they don't really have a clear procedure to how they are dealing with and resolve conflicts within their community. So you want to make sure funds are being used appropriately, and part of that is transparency. Kickstarter, $50 million a year goes to failed projects. And centralization a lot of times limits their capacity to scale. So when you're giving dollars or yuan or pounds or whatever, and you just give it to them all at once, it's kind of like they have free reign to do that. And I know on the crypto space, there have already been 2 controversies with content creators misusing funds and really spending it in different ways than their audience expected. And some people, rightly so, got very upset about that. And imagining if I were to have a Pledgecamp and allow my viewers or other Pledgecamp investors to see what I'm working on, keep up with my progress, mark goals, and also work with their mentorship team, I think that's like a great idea. Older forms of crowdfunding didn't offer any expertise or mentorship or feedback that creators needed to hear. And when we talked about that $500 million that goes to failed projects, Pledgecamp is looking to reduce that number by creating an ecosystem that really supports creators. Because a lot of this, again, is being done, it's a very grassroots approach, right? You're having people who don't have access to traditional campaign fundraising methods or don't have access to venture capital firms, and you're giving them tools, a community, and funding, which is like, those are the three major things that you need when you're starting a business. The ecosystem of Pledgecamp really tries to make sure that scalability, not just in blockchain, but in the businesses too, right, are able to succeed. So in this ecosystem, they feature advisors and mentors and even assist with hiring. So it was creating a network of value of potential employees, but also connecting you with those investors. Pledgecamp also has moderators that's in charge of making sure people are following the rules, they aren't misusing campaign funds, no harmful behavior, things like that. So they're really made sure to, these moderators call out abuse, fraud, and other issues, and they do this in a very quick process. They actually have a jury of moderators, of 12 moderators, and within 24 hours they respond to any abuse or a reported campaign that's being run on the site. Pledgecamp has a token economy, and it features two different parts. So the first is the pledge coin, and that's what people use to invest in creators, what backers use to invest in creators, and it's built off of the ERC20 platform, which is based off of the Ethereum blockchain, and it's a stable coin. And as moderators join the pledge share, the number of pledge coins will decrease and the number of camp shares will increase. Token allocation for camp share, 45% is for community reserve, 5% goes towards trader acquisition, 5% goes towards the moderator acquisition fund, 10% goes towards employees of 12 months or more, 15% goes towards the platform fund, and 20% is available for public distribution. The team features Randy Zuckerberg, yes, that Zuckerberg, she's his sister, Patrick Yang from Amity Ventures, who is a founding partner, Matt Cursow, who was former Ripple, is a VP of data, David Ambrose is the executive director from Disney Television, Keith Tier is the founding shareholder and came from TechCrunch, Edward Kim came from CryptoLux Capital and is a VP.
Coming from the hood, the D-boys are the superstars. 530 inches on a bucket or a new car. So fling it tearing wood when I flex, like having sex on a porno flick. Bought some new shoes, all grown, cause I got a flick. Know you love telling, but you candy, I did that. I'm a ghetto star, we in can. Pick my cars up by sexual, cause she's a hoe. Pull up, bring the daddy, baby, we are gon' do her. You the only woman that a nigga made a murder for. Know you like long time, go